This week we're learning Parsha Tazria Metzora. Yes, it's a double portion of the Torah. This double portion, Tazria Metzora, continues basically the discussion of laws of Tumah, or Tamei, impurity, or a person Tamei when he or she is impure, versus Tahara, which is purity. A woman, for instance, giving birth should undergo a process of purification after birth, which includes immersing in a mikvah, and she must bring offerings to the holy temple as well. And last year in this parsha we discussed the differences why a woman must wait for 7 days if she gives birth to a boy versus 14 days if it's a girl. And there is a very interesting and deep discussions. I suggest you find my blog on Tazria Metzora 5780. All male infants must be circumcised at the 8th day of their life. Tzaras often misrepresented or mistranslated as leprosy. It's actually a supernatural plague or malady which also can afflict not only a human being but garments with the pink and patches appearing on the person's skin, or dark red or green patches appearing on the garments. A coin is in that case summoned to the person, if the person goes and sees the coin, in order for the coin to verify what is it. Judging by various signs such as an increase in size of the afflicted area after 7-day quarantine, the coin may pronounce the person either tamei, impure, or tahor, pure. And if the person is impure, he goes for another 7 days quarantine. Total 14 days. Reminds you something? Think about it. A person afflicted with tzara must dwell alone outside the camp or the city until he or she is healed. The afflicted area of garments is removed, and if tzara spreads or recurs again, the entire garment must be burned. The second part of this double portion is Metzora describes the signs of Metzora. And a person, when the person is a Metzora, he is mistranslated as a leper. A person, it's still a spiritual malady which places him or her in a state of ritual impurity. Metzora begins by detailing how the recovered Metzora is purified by Kohen, by priest, with a special procedure involving 2 birds, spring water in an earthen vessel, a piece of cedar wood, a scarlet thread, and a bundle of hyssop. A house can also be affected by tzara, by the appearance of dark red or green patches on the walls, and in process of lasting sometimes as long as 19 days, a Kohen must determine if the house can be purified or whether it must be demolished. Ritual impurity is also engendered through a seminal or other discharge in a man, and menstruation or other discharge of blood in a woman, necessitating purification as well through immersion in a mikvah. And that's the basic content of this double portion of the Torah. Most of this week parsha is dedicated to tzara, often, as I said, mistranslated as leprosy. It's a supernatural malady, plague, which can also afflict garments or home, as I said earlier. There are 7 sins which are known to be reasons for tzara occurring, if they occur, and they are as follows. Lashon hora, which is gossip or negative speech about other people, private or public, of course it's worse, murder, a vain oath or lying under oath, sexual immorality, arrogance, pride, stealing or theft, and stinginess. These are the 7 sins which may result in tzara. The prevailing assumption surrounding the tzara was that it was an external mark of some hidden or inward unclean spiritual condition known only to Hashem, to the Lord. The idea was that the person afflicted with tzara had committed some unknown sins against God or other people. I mean, publicly unknown. The person probably knows. And as a result, was now being punished for it. And obviously, since it's all visible, it becomes public knowledge, which is very shameful. The sages were saying that the most frequent sin related to tzara was and still is lashon hora, evil speech. But there is a lot of negativity in the world today, right now. I think the world is like hanging in a balance above deep downfall. So I would rather prefer to speak about something positive. And it's not my idea. Rebbe Sachs, God bless his soul, left a whole year worth of shiurim for every portion of the Torah. And this is what his preference is for this week. So, everything I say from now on comes from his teachings. Since we know that for every negative, there is a positive. So, Alexander, the grave sin of lashon hora, must be, in principle, a concept of lashon hatov, good speech. And it must be more than a mere negation of the opposite, of the negative. Obviously, the simplest way, the way to avoid lashon hora, is to practice silence. Man hat gesucht, allein ist die Neshume rein. So, when you're sitting at home and you are not going and talking amongst people, you will not say lashon hora. And indeed, sages were very eloquent about importance of the silence. Silence saves us from evil speech, but by itself, it achieves nothing positive. So, what then is lashon hatov? Well, lashon hatov is a praise. Praise, well, and how we administer it is a fundamental element of building relationships with people. And if you are a leader of any kind, it's very important for a leader to know how to praise people. Recognizing the good in people and saying so, by doing that, we help bring in people's potential to fruition. We elevate people. We often praise people for their talents, looks, and abilities. But all of this is not their achievement. These are looks, talents, and abilities are gifts from God. The person was born with them. So, what people do with their godly gifts, how much effort are they prepared to make to bring their talents to a fruition, to produce results for others, for the world, for the people around them. That is what matters, really. Praising their efforts rather than their innate gifts helps encourage growth, really helps everybody. The right kind of praise changes lives. That is the power of Lushan Hatov. Bad speech diminishes us. Good speech can lift us to great heights. When people correct you publicly when you're trying to make a speech, that's bad speech. That's Lushan Hora. But when they praise you, even privately, that's much better. That's Lushan Hatov. But even praise must be thought through prior to statement. Praising a person publicly too much may result in jealousy and resentment from other people. Praising a person unjustifiably results altogether in flattery. And this is, as we know, a very negative and sinful thing to do. So whether we communicate verbally or in written form, the language we use affects how the message is perceived. Using positive language can help to reduce conflict, to improve communication, increase optimism in others, and can even portray the speaker, the writer, as credible and respectable person. So it's something very worthwhile to think about. Shabbat Shalom.
חי ורעי למען החי ורעי אתה בנה שלום למען החי למען החי ורעי אדבנה שלום